Welcome to the Preliminary Cost Estimating Tool training series. In this segment, we'll be going through a general overview of the Preliminary Cost Estimating Tool. Okay, so I've opened up the Preliminary Cost Estimating Tool here. We start out in the Help tab, and we get a security warning up top here. It's very important to enable macros before editing. This workbook is heavily dependent on macros, so to make sure everything works properly, we're going to click Enable Content up top here. Next thing we're going to take a look at is cell formatting. Light blue cells, these are user input cells that you use to compile information that's used to calculate the estimate. Dark blue cells are output or calculated cells. These cannot be edited by the user, they are locked, but they do contain some useful information on what is being calculated. Gray cells are user input cells that are not being utilized in current calculations. This happens based on other inputs. Depending on what you select, there may be inputs that are excluded from calculations. Cells with red triangles in the top right, you'll notice I just hovered over this cell and a note popped up. You'll find these throughout the entire workbook. They are very useful in helping guide you when you're going through and creating an estimate, especially your first time going through. There's a lot of useful information in these, so make sure you take a look at them. Next in the Help tab is a quick overview. There's a quick summary here of a typical quick workflow that you can take a look at to help get you started. Also in the Help tab, we go through each section on the Data Entry tab, which we will go to in just a minute here. So you have every section and a screenshot of what the section looks like, and just a brief description of the inputs, somewhat of a glossary to help give you an idea of what the inputs mean and what some of the calculations might be doing. So that's the Help tab, so let's hop over to the Data Entry tab now. And this is where most of your inputs are going to happen to create your estimate. When you're running through this for the first time, you're going to mostly be working right in this tab here to develop your preliminary estimate. So the first section here, worksheet quality control information. Let's go ahead and put some inputs in here. And it's very important to fill all this stuff out, not only from a record keeping standpoint, but it also fills out other information throughout the worksheet that's utilized. For example, you might have noticed putting in this date here populated the estimate date in the general project information. Notes are optional. Notes more for, maybe modified by, maybe someone came in here after the initial estimate was done and added a particular scope, so they may want to put that in a note. Let's move down to general project information. We'll put in a PIN number. When we put the PIN number in, you'll notice in just a second here, it gives you a suggested file name, and this is what we should be naming the file when we save it to ProjectWise. Next, we select the region. The region is utilized to calculate appropriate item costs and item numbers. We can also select the county. One thing I do want to note with region and county, if you have a project that spans multiple regions or counties, select the one where the bulk of your work is going to be taking place. This would come up with an appropriate cost, or the most appropriate cost anyway. And we can also put in a project description. I'm just going to put in something generic here for now. This isn't utilized anywhere, that's just for a title. So you can put whatever you'd like in there. Duration, if we hover over this, duration of construction only. So let's say this is going to be 2 years for the construction duration. And then your anticipated letting, we will say May 1st, 2021. And it's important you put in the letting date and the construction duration. This is utilized to calculate inflation on the project cost tab. As I said before, the estimate date is populated from above in the worksheet quality control information from the calculated by row. Let's take a look at the pavement section just to go over some of the common items in every single section on the data entry tab here. So every section has 2 links in the top right. One will bring you to the help tab for that section. So you see it brought us to the pavement section on the help sheet. On the help sheet, we also have links to bring us back to the data entry tab. You can see brought us back to the pavement section. Also, there's a link to the worksheet where all of the calculations happen to develop quantities and item numbers for the estimate. So we'll take a quick look at that. So this is a pavement worksheet. Gives you calculated areas, allows you to put in actual areas, calculates your quantities, item numbers, etc. In addition, as we scroll down, additional items. This is common to every worksheet tab. Contains user-defined items and quantities. You can put in any item number and quantity you would like here. You can use these green and red buttons here. Green will add one, red will remove one. And you can add as many items as you'd like back here. Also common to all of the worksheet tabs is an item list for that specific type of work. So once you put in item numbers and quantities, they will populate in here, as well as give you a total for that section on the bottom. Also at the bottom of every worksheet is a return to data entry link, which will bring you back to the data entry tab. And now that we're back in the data entry tab, let's take a look at the bottom of the pavement section here. Every section has a user-defined non-itemized costs. Similar to being able to add individual items in the worksheet tab, this will let you add a lump sum cost for that section. If you maybe did a particular scope of work out utilizing some other method, you can go ahead and put that lump sum cost in here, and those will sum up in the pavement non-itemized subtotal. The pavement itemized subtotal is from the item list on the worksheet tab that we took a look at a second ago. And the pavement total will sum those two values together to give you the total for that section. And this is common for every section in the data entry tab. One more thing I would like to note, sections O through S are percentage based. They are not developing an itemized estimate for these sections of work here. So we give you 3 complexities to choose from for each of these percentage based items, and it will develop a percentage here, and subtotal down here. Let's take a look at the worksheet tab. We'll go through this in more detail in another video, but this is the data that was utilized to come up with those percentages in case you would like to dig into that a little deeper. Let's go back to the data entry. Those links are at the bottom of every sheet. And that concludes the general overview segment of the Preliminary Cost Estimating Tool training series. Be sure to check out our other videos for more in-depth information. Thanks for watching.